Hello girls, I hope you're doing well and that you're staying healthy at home. I know the past several weeks have been very difficult for you. It's hard not being able to hang out with your friends, to go to school, and to go to our most favorite place, Girls Incorporated. Over the past month, I've had occasion to talk to several members of the staff, and regardless of what we're talking about, they always bring up how much they miss the girls, how much they miss you. So I would encourage you to stay in touch with them. Give them a call, send them a text, an email, let them know how you're doing, how your family's doing, and if you need anything. I know they would be thrilled to hear from you and they want to help if they can. Today, I'm going to spend a little time with you and do a little demo on how to make an easy, a quick, and an economical hamburger and green bean casserole that I think you and your family will enjoy. I've already done a few steps today. I've preheated my oven to 350 degrees. That way we'll have a nice warm oven when we get ready to put the casserole in. And I've also taken my casserole dish. I'm using a medium-sized casserole dish. It can be round, it could be square, just whatever, but about a medium-sized casserole dish, and I've already sprayed it with some non-stick vegetable oil. Now, if you don't have the vegetable spray, that's okay. Just take a little piece of paper towel and dab some vegetable oil or maybe some shortening. You just want to rub it around the casserole dish just to make sure that it doesn't stick. There's only five ingredients to this. First is a pound of ground beef, a can of tomato soup, a regular sized can of green beans, about 3 cups of mashed potatoes, and a 1/4 of a cup of onion. I think we're about ready to get started, so let's go. First of all, we want to wash our hands. Always remember to wash your hands anytime you're handling food or doing any type of food preparation. So I'm going to use some soap. I'm going to wash them real good. I'm going to start with the mashed potatoes. And today I'm going to use instant mashed potatoes just because it's quick and it's easy. Of course, you can make your mashed potatoes from scratch if you wanted to, or even if you had some mashed potatoes left over from a previous meal, you can take those out of the refrigerator and use those too. So I'm just going to follow the instructions on the package, and I've already started to boil, just to save time, 4 cups of water. It's just about there. You can see the steam coming up and the water starting to bubble. That means that it's getting ready to boil. So I'm going to open my package. I'm going to wait on it just a second here till it's nice and bubbly. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and add my potato flakes. Put the whole package in there. I'm going to take a spoon and I'm just going to lightly stir just to moisten all of the potato flakes. And again, as the instructions have told me, oops, I'm going to set it off the heat and cover it with my top. I'm going to turn that burner off. So now I'm ready to start with my ground beef. I'm going to take it out of the package and I'm just going to add it to my skillet. I'm going to take the spatula, just going to kind of chop it up to loosen it up, and we'll start to brown the ground beef. You don't want to use too high of a temperature on your stove. Again, about a medium temperature. Because if you cook it on too high of a temperature, first of all, your meat will burn. And then secondly, because the ground beef has fat content, we're going to have some grease in our pan. And as grease starts to get hot, it'll start popping and it could pop out and burn you. Or it could also make a mess on your stove. And one thing I wanted to say at the beginning, and I failed to do so, we are going to be using the stove and the oven, and later on as we chop our onions a knife. I would recommend that you do this only with adult supervision. Now, if you're really experienced in the kitchen, you may be all right, but I would recommend you doing this with an adult helping you. I'm going to go ahead and take my onion, and I just happen to have an onion that I had in the refrigerator already peeled, so I'm going to use that. I'm just going to do a couple of slices here of my onion. And then I'm just going to chop it up into small pieces. As you can see here, this is 1/4 of a cup, so we don't need a whole lot of onion. If you don't like onion, you don't have to put it in the casserole. Or if you really like onion, you could put a lot more onion in it. It's just whatever you want to do, but I do think that the onion adds some flavor, both to the meats or to the meat and also with the green beans. So it didn't take a whole lot to do that. I mentioned that it's going to be 1/4 of a cup. Would you happen to know how many tablespoons are in a cup? How many tablespoons are in 1 cup? If you said 16, you are right. There are 16 tablespoons in a cup. So see, just by making a couple of slices of this onion, I've got pretty much all the onion that I need. So I'm just going to add that to my meat and let the onion brown with the meat. So now let's let this brown for a while. All right, I think my meat is browning up pretty nicely. As you can see, all the pink is disappearing, and my onions are starting to look a little bit transparent in color. You know, as you recall, we started with a pound of ground beef. So I've got another question for you. Typically, meat is sold and measured in terms of ounces and pounds. So if I have a pound of ground beef, how many ounces are in a pound? How many ounces are in a pound? Believe it or not, 16. So today we've learned that there's 16 tablespoons in a cup and 16 ounces in a pound. Okay, I think this looks pretty nice right now. And now it's coming kind of to the tricky point because we need to drain the grease off. We don't want to leave the grease in here because your casserole will just end up tasting real greasy and it's not very healthy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my skillet, and I have a lid to this particular skillet. I'm going to put it on, and over in my sink, I've got an old can that I've had from something previously that I've used. I'm going to use that to pour my grease in. You never want to pour grease directly into your sink because it'll clog your sink up and you'll really have a mess. So I'm going to take this, and I'm just going to hold my lid back a little bit. And if you see the grease pouring off of it, that's just stuff that we don't want to eat. So this is definitely where you may need some help. Another thing you could do that would be might be easier for you to do is to take a plate or a bowl and put several layers of paper towels, and then just dip your meat out onto the paper towel to let the grease drain out, and then you can pour your grease off your skillet. Because we're going to use this again as a mixing bowl. Okay, so I've got my meat, and I'm going to take my soup next. And this has an easy pull top, so I don't have to use the can opener. I'm just going to pour my soup in here. Okay, next I'm going to add my green beans, and we do want to drain the water off the green beans. So I'm just going to pull my tab back a little bit, and I'm just going to hold it over the sink, and I'm just going to pour that directly down the sink. Now I can do that because it's really just water. Okay, so I've got that drained. Pull it the rest of the way. I'm going to add my green beans. Now, some people refer to this casserole as a form of shepherd's pie, if you've ever heard of that. Shepherd's pie, you add carrots and corn and other vegetables, and you are more than welcome to do that if you would like. But my family just likes the green beans. And what I'm kind of chomping here, and this is just a personal preference, the beans were kind of long, and I like to just kind of chop them up where the beans are more bite-sized pieces. Okay, so now I'm just going to mix it up with my spatula. And also, I'm just going to add some salt and pepper. That'll just give it a little bit more flavor. And again, how much ever you want to put in it. Okay, I think this is pretty good. Now I'm going to take my casserole dish and bring it over here, and I'm just going to pour this into the casserole. And spread it out. I'm going to take my mashed potatoes. I'm going to give it a stir or two to make sure it's mixed up, and see how nicely the potatoes turned out. And I'm just going to put some spoonfuls on the top of the casserole. You could put just little daubs of it all the way around the casserole. I like to put enough on top to just spread it out. And this is ready to go in the oven. And it'll bake for about 30 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes. You want to bake for it to bake long enough that it starts bubbling around the edges, just enough to heat it through. And one thing that I'm going to do, this is just a personal preference. After about 25 minutes in the oven, I'm going to open my oven and take my casserole out, and I'm going to add some shredded cheese on top of it, just because I think the cheese gives it another flavor and another little kick. You don't have to do that if you don't have, but if you want cheese and you don't have shredded cheese, you could take just slices of American cheese and maybe cut it into some strips and just place it on top of your potatoes. But we'll do that after it's cooked, about 20-25 minutes. So it's going in the oven. The timer's going off, so I think our casserole is done. Let's check it. Oh yes, it looks good. Can you see how it's starting to bubble? That's telling me that it's cooked all the way through. So I'm going to take this out of the oven and take it over to my hot plate. What do you think? It looks pretty good. You notice on top you can see the cheese. That's where I did add some shredded cheese on top. You don't have to do that. Again, I just like cheese. So this is ready to go. It's ready to serve to your family. It's pretty much a meal in itself. You've got your meat, you've got a green vegetable, and you've got your starch. You may want to add a salad to it, like a nice lettuce salad or a Jell-O salad if you wanted, and some rolls, and you have dinner. And it's again, something that I think that you will enjoy. I've really enjoyed my time with you today, and if you make this casserole, take a picture of it, send it to Girls Inc. or send some comments. Let us know how it turned out. We would love to see what your finished product is like. So with that, I'm going to say have a great day, be safe, be healthy, and always be strong, smart, and bold.